Welcome to the Owner's Lounge, the podcast made for the ones who don't just stay in hotels, they own them. Whether you're managing your first property or you've built an empire from a single roadside motel, this is your space, your journey, your community. We're talking stories that matter, moves that change lives, and the insights no one teaches you unless you've lived it. Real stories, real owners, real impact. This is the Owner's Lounge.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Owner's Lounge. Before we get started, Jerry, just wanted a quick shout out. Today is my youngest son's birthday. Devin, happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Devin.
Okay.
How old is Devin?
Devin just turned 15 this year.
God bless him.
Yes.
And God help you.
Last one left in the house.
Beautiful stuff.
Yes. So today, Jerry, I wanted to kind of discuss advocating for any particular reason, but basically we're at the Owner's Lounge, deal with the hospitality industry a little bit more. So I wanted to talk about advocating on behalf of the hotel industry. What's the best way of doing it? Who out there is actually advocating for the industry right now? And what things we can look at to bring to our governments to advocate for and actually have some policy changes done, okay? And I also want to talk about a couple other organizations and associations that are out there that are also helpful for our industry, the hospitality industry, that are advocating for us as well.
Of course.
All right? So let's start off with AAHOA. We talked about AAHOA a couple times on our podcast.
Yep.
Last time with Mayor, I was showing him stats about how AAHOA has over 60 AAHOA members own 60% of the hotels in the United States, which is a really big number. Now, I don't know if you've heard of OYO.
Well, you were talking about it before.
Yes, it is a hotel brand. They're actually based out of India. They recently purchased Motel 6.
All the Motel 6s.
All the Motel 6s.
So they're not franchises, they're corporate stores.
They are OYO hotels now. Okay.
Wow.
But they're leaving it as Motel 6, so it's Motel 6 to the flag of OYO now. Now, he went on a show, and he said that 80% of hotels owned in U.S. are of Indian Asian descent. Now, that's more than AAHOA members, because AAHOA has 60% of its members own hotels. Now, not every Indian Asian is a AAHOA member, so OYO owner and founder is saying 80% of the hotels in America are actually owned by Indian Americans.
That's a lot in one industry.
That is.
Yeah.
He also said that the hospitality industry in America pays 10% of the total tax.
I believe it because you have room taxes, you have all the other sales taxes, and absolutely, excise taxes.
Yes. It's a very big number. It's a very big industry in our country. And it provides,
hospitality in general is,
it provides to our GDP. It keeps taxes flowing for our government so they can continue to do things and operate as well.
No question.
Now, if you recall, on our first episode, we discussed a little bit about Marriott and Hilton stock prices.
Yep.
They have reported record high stock prices this year. Okay? Did you know their CEOs made over $50 million, including bonuses, and their entire compensation for the year was over $50 million for those brands?
It's a good job if you can get it.
Right? Now that is a big number, which is great. I have no problem awarding people that do good. So congrats to those CEOs. They did get those stock prices to the highest ever. Now, in a model like Marriott, Hilton, and them, you know Marriott has over 35 hotels throughout the world.
3,500.
3,500, yes. 3,500 hotels throughout the world. Do you know how many of those hotels are owned and operated by Marriott?
Probably about 10%.
500.
Well,
So 3,000 of the hotels that are Marriott hotels are independently owned and operated by franchisees.
that's how you grow.
That is how you grow. So Marriott stock prices as to where it is right now would not be there if it wasn't for franchisees building their hotels and operating.
Yeah, it's almost like a pyramid.
Yes.
It's a value pyramid.
Now, in the first episode, we also talked how when we get into a franchisee-franchisor agreement, it's a partnership, almost like a marriage partnership.
100%.
And a marriage partnership, you have 50-50%. That's not what's going on with these franchisee-franchisor agreements.
I wouldn't think that they would be, because there's a big elephant and there's a little elephant.
Yes. I truly think, and it's corporate America, it's not just corporate America, but it is general process of making more and more money is you're trying to get things in your advantage, which the franchisors have done extremely well. If you almost look at it right now, I think it's close to 80 or even 90% of the partnership is going towards the franchisor versus the franchisee.
It's a big split.
Yeah, these companies are recording record high stock prices, but our bottom line numbers are not reaching record high bottom line numbers. How is that possible?
It's possible because they're bringing in a lot of value for their franchising, and they're inflating their brand based on the fees being paid for access to that brand, which is highly efficient in terms of managing resources, because all you're doing is succeeding on the brand and not the inputs.
Right. So what is the best way? What would you think the best way to counter this and change it a little bit? Because I will tell you, each of these brands do give us FDDs, franchisor disclosure agreements, documents, prior to us signing the franchisor contract. How can we make it so the franchisee is more or less trying to be at the 50-50 partnership versus what it is right now?
Well, 50-50 might be ambitious, but it's a great goal. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I would say first is that there are different levels of advocacy and lobbying that take place. And in today's world, there are different mediums that you have to explore and utilize to get your message out. You know, you can't go through one channel. Mm-hmm. You have to go through all different channels because you have different audiences. Right? So in terms of politicians, you want your Fair Franchising Act. That's something that you want. So you've done a good job in getting it in the hands of the politicians, and the bills getting written and getting in front of folks at the legislative level. That's good. But that should also be accompanied by a registered lobbyist group that is in D.C., that is visiting on a regular basis and is at the table when these bills are being drawn up.
Right.
That is a piece of the puzzle that is a little expensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, really good lobby firms, usually law firms,
right,
are costly.
Yes.
But they're effective. All right. The insurance industry is an example of how effective they are.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the one level. That's like the micro level. But when you pull the camera back and you get a wider view, then you have the AAHOAs, you have the advocacy groups, mm-hmm. right? So this is where stakeholders, honest stakeholders, have an opportunity to express themselves and to address the issues. Mm-hmm. And in a coordinated way, AAHOA and other similarly interested organizations have a unique message. And that unique message is, don't choke us with the franchise. Okay? allow us to grow with you, okay, and allow us to benefit from what we're all doing together, and let's not make it so one-sided.
Right.
Right? So that's really what the message is, right? The problem that I see from a public policy perspective is that if they don't vote with you, what's the downside for the politicians, right? So because they have the support of the Marriotts and the Hiltons in the world. So if they don't vote with you, then what's the downside? And like they have to know there's a political consequence. Like, so your advocacy groups have to back the type of candidates, whether they be Republican, Democrat, Independent, doesn't matter, the type of people that take up your fight.
Right.
And that understand that your fight is related to their election.
Yes.
Okay. And, you need to vote as a group. And you have a large group that's pretty homogeneous. We talked about it. Okay. That have similar interests.
Right.
Right. And those interests need to align, and you need to advocate based on those interests. And you tell people, hey, here's a campaign donation. It's significant. Okay. I want to know within 30 days of you being in office that you're going to put up a bill.
Right.
Right. And not only are you going to put up a bill, you're going to advocate for that bill and you're going to push it. And it's not just because we're giving you the money.
Right.
It's because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And it's because we have the same mindset and that we want to push entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Right. We want to advance competition.
Right.
We want to do all those things that fairness brings about.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to also empower these people with the message. Okay. Because he's not in your business.
Right.
Right. So he has to carry your message. How do you empower him to carry your message? See, that's where you have to go to his fundraisers. That's where you have to sit down and demand 15 minutes of their attention without their aides.
Right.
Okay. Look them eye to eye and say, hey, listen, this is the most important thing to us. Okay. And it's going to become the most important thing to you if you want our support.
Right.
Okay. So listen up. Here's how it works.
Yes.
All right. So it's that kind of candid conversation that everyone needs to be empowered to have. So your talking points on this matter need to be uniform. They need to be tight. They need to be repeated. Okay. They need to be echoed.
Right.
And amplified.
I agree.
And all and you do that through social. Okay. You do it through web platforms. You do that through seminars.
Right.
You do that through visitation. You do it through brochures. You do it through all of those things. And when they're running for office, you drag their butts in front of AAHOA at an AAHOA meeting and you say, you know what? We're going to hold a town hall and we're inviting all the candidates.
Right.
Okay. And it's in Chicago. Okay. So if you're running for office, we're going to have a town hall here and we're going to discuss the future of the hospitality business. I hope that you'll join us.
Right. That's an excellent idea. Now, I do know right now we do have some town halls and meetings, and they do always like to try to get a political figure at these places. But that's one figure, and that's someone that's currently in office. I love the idea of having it during an election period and having everyone that is running for that position there to get their points before they're even elected, so we know who to back.
Exactly. They need to show you their cards, right? It's very difficult to get a politician to show you their cards because they reserve them. They keep them close to the vest because then no one has ammunition that they can bring to bear against them.
Right.
But if you can pigeonhole them and you get them on the record, okay, the record is what counts. You record the interactions. You get them on there, and then you make it your duty to dispatch that stuff to CNN, to Fox News, to whatever. You know, you make, or if it's local, to the local TV station.
Right.
You let them know that this dude made news today. this person, whether it's a guy, a girl, they made news today. They came in and they said they support fair franchising. Okay. And that they're going to seek a Fair Franchise Act
Right.
when they get into the legislature.
Which is
Okay. They said they were going to do that. So we just want to alert you to that. So the next time he comes in or she comes in and sits in on an interview, you can ask her about it.
right. Also, with that, the biggest way to, like you mentioned, is having groups that routinely and periodically go to the Capitol and advocate. Okay.
Visit your people.
Yes. And individually, as us hotel owners, we don't have to necessarily go to the Capitol or these assemblies when they have them. What you can do is in your own town, in your own city, you can speak to your mayor. You can see the congressman that is representing your district. They do live locally, and they're always in town every once in a while because they have to know where the community that they're from. When they're there, make sure you speak with them, meet with them, talk to them there. If not at the Capitol, you could always talk to them there. Do so. Always get to know your politicians and who they are, who's running for what, so we can be better educated on who we vote for and which person is actually going to fight for us.
And know that you have leverage. There's not a politician that exists locally anywhere in the United States that can shun tourism.
Right?
They can't, because it's money being brought from the outside into the area, being expended there. Okay? There's nobody that can shun it.
What's the number one key of growing economics? How do you grow your economy? With outside money. So tourism is very key, and we have a business that provides people to be tourists.
Grows the pie.
Yes.
So you think of how many different economic scenarios we have on a daily basis, right? So you go to the car repair shop and you have a flat tire and you pay the guy. That's coming out of your pocket. You're in this economy and you're paying that guy. So really what you're doing is you're just moving money around within a sphere.
Right.
Okay. What you're saying is that the tourism dollar comes in and it's putting money into the sphere that wasn't there before.
Right.
It's injecting it.
Right.
Okay. And that injection, that infusion of funding is so critical to an area and people's perception of an area. And this is why you really need to drill down with the mayor or who the folks are that are in charge, because they need to understand that the perception of what Utica is, what New York is, what Chicago is, what LA is going to come from visitors who have come there, who have shared the experience and get a snapshot. They don't get a movie.
Right.
They get a snapshot. So the snapshot better look good.
Yes.
Okay? So if you don't have the right kind of hotels, if you don't have the right kind of amenities, if you don't have those kind of things, areas suffer, and they know that. Okay, so your leverage is having a well-run hotel that contributes to the largesse of the community and gives people an opportunity to perceive that community as being on top of their game,
Right.
being worth a visit, that it's safe, that it's affordable, that it's fun, and that it's a great place to visit. That is what you bring to the politicians' table, because they can turn around and say, hey, our advocacy, the things that we did to help the hotel industry, helped align the stars for a growth pattern
Right.
in Utica or wherever.
Yes. Now, speaking of tourism and that a little bit, I kind of wanted to bring this wasn't planned, but I just thought of it a little bit with what you were saying. Today's economy and today's politicians that we have, our president, President Trump, has decided to do a lot of things that I'm not sure how it's going to truly affect our economy, but I don't see it going too well. He's imposing tariffs, really high tariffs on these countries. Now, in our industry, majority of our products, our FF&E mainly, which is furnitures, equipment, and fixtures, are produced abroad. Now, the tariffs are increasing. That means all that is going to be more expensive for a hotelier to build because now he's paying the extra tariffs. These countries are just passing the tariffs on to the consumer. Okay?
Well, that's what it is.
Yes.
It's on the product. Yeah.
So I understand his ultimate vision saying that, hey, he wants to bring industry and manufacturing back to our country.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. We have been out of the manufacturing business in our country for decades now. In order to bring that back in this time frame is going to be very difficult with today's economy, world, our wages that we have today as well, to bring manufacturing back into this country.
Well, I think that if we're talking about traditional manufacturing, you're probably right. We're not going to be making copper cable and cookware and those kind of things in this country. I don't see that being something that we bring back.
Right.
I do, however, and Apple's an example, see us doing a different kind of manufacturing, the high-tech manufacturing where Apple's bringing $1 trillion back into the United States. Car manufacturers are coming back to the United States. So it depends what kind of manufacturing we're talking about. Now, the tariff issue, I think, is a separate issue, but related. So I've always been a free trade person in my philosophy. So whenever I've heard tariffs in my life, I've always been like, it's a stifler of free trade, right? That's traditionally what free trade people believe.
Right.
Right. But then, I look at things that happen when you try to put your hand on, you look at NAFTA, right? That became one of the worst deals that the United States ever had. And it was kind of like an anti-tariff scenario. And there are a lot of countries out there that continue to hold high tariffs against the United States as a matter of course, when we've never had them against them. The European Union comes to mind.
Right.
So I think there has to be a leveling of the playing field where all tariffs need to come down, not just one side or the other.
Right.
So I think what President Trump is trying to do is he's trying to level the playing field and say, hey, listen, we don't charge you guys tariffs, or we haven't, and you have yours at 35 to 40% on us. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to slap 35 to 40% on yours until you drop it.
Right.
Right. And so I think it's short-term pain. I think it's unfortunate, and I think it does hurt the economy in the short term. I'm hopeful, but I don't know. But I'm hopeful that in the long run, these countries, one by one, come to the conclusion that they need our market more than we need theirs.
Right.
And that they'll drop their tariffs. And it's happened with several countries. Vietnam. There's a slew of countries that it's happened with. So I guess my answer to the FF&E question is find countries that produce this stuff that are in good stead with the United States and trade with them.
Right.
And put pressure on the others to say, hey, listen, we can't afford you.
Right.
Right. Lower your tariffs so you can allow us to afford you. I mean, that's kind of like the choice you have, because if you go the other way, if you start to advocate against a major policy of the president,
you're right about that. Right about that.
He's a retaliatory kind of person, and I don't want to be on his bad side as an industry.
Right.
Because he's in his last term, and he can act with impunity because he's not running for office again.
Right. Now, with that too, if this year the hotel economics has actually lowered its numbers from previous years or even previous before this year of their forecast moving forward because of the economy and some of the policies that our president has put into place, and we've seen it as hoteliers as well. Our revenue is going down a little bit. Our occupancy is going down a little bit. We are seeing less and less travelers right now.
I think that's true on several levels. Okay. And does the tariff game have something to do with it? I think so. I think that it does, especially with like Canadian travelers.
Right.
Coming here, like we're not in New York State. We're seeing a real downturn in Canadian travelers. There is that sentiment out there. So I'm sensitive to it. I understand it. I think there are other reasons why people aren't traveling though.
Okay.
You know, I think that a lot of people are overextended
Right.
in their credit, you know, and when you're overextended in your credit, it's hard to pay $400 a night hotel bills somewhere,
Right.
you know, when you've become overextended. And I think that is an important aspect of this, you know. And the other thing is the hospitality industry has become, I think, in the last 10 years, more stratified. So you have your higher end, right? There's more of a definition.
Right.
You know, a 5-star has got specific amenities. A 4-star has specific amenities. And when you're looking, you know, and you have a family, right? You want safety.
Right.
You want cleanliness, right? Maybe you want some of those amenities because you're on a vacation. And those costs are expensive when it comes to hotelier. I mean, if you're in a look, I mean, it's human resources are expensive.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So I don't blame the hotels for having raised their rates over the last 10 years. But I can tell you that pre-pandemic in New York City, I could get a room in a 3.5 to a 4-star hotel, Midtown Manhattan, $150, $160.
Now
Right.
you're paying over $300, $400.
Now you're paying over $300 or $400. Yeah, and you know, and a lot of hotels have closed because tourism is, you know, and the pandemic had a big effect. We know all that. Okay, the question is, how do we bring it back? Right. The question is, how do we make it again affordable, but also, well, there's the Airbnb thing too. Right. So I don't think it exists in a vacuum because it's kind of like what Uber did to taxis.
Right.
You know, so the Airbnb thing is having an impact, but people would also find out Airbnb is not all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
Right. Very often places are overhyped. There's under delivery, and then they don't have the professionalism to come back and do the reset.
Right.
To have the experience be the same every time for people like hotels have, right? So when you go to a hotel, you go to a Marriott or a Hilton, we're talking about, you have a certain expectation,
Right.
right? And that expectation is that the room is going to be clean, that you're going to get the same service type that you got in Los Angeles and New York and Chicago. A Budweiser is a Budweiser is a Budweiser.
Yes.
Okay? That's what it's supposed to be, right? And that's one of the things that you sell is that quality. And I think that based on stock prices, they've done a good job at that.
Right.
Okay? But all these independents now, I think, have to find a way to get the message out there that your stays can be just as beneficial.
Right. Now, going back to what you said too, and the prices pre-pandemic and post. Now, pre-pandemic, 5 years prior, the hotel brands, Marriott, Hilton, they were growing at a steady pace. The hoteliers, the franchisees, bottom lines, they were also growing at that steady pace. It was mutual, their growth. After the pandemic, the brands Marriott, Hilton have seen a almost 18% increase in their numbers, revenue numbers, while the franchisee, their bottom line has depleted and gotten less.
They're skimming the top of the market.
The brands, and this is part of the higher rates that we're paying now compared to post.
Oh, I believe
prior
it.
to
Yeah, I
pandemic,
believe it.
is the brands are adding this amenity, adding that amenity, saying this many points and all that. All that adds up cost. They're relaying those costs to the franchisee. Now the franchisee has to make up those costs. How do they make up those costs? They're going to increase the rates.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a big flow factor. It starts with the brands. If they, let's not take the 20%. Let's take the 10% increase. We're going to add these, but we're going to take some of the expense on our own and not give it all to the franchisee.
Well, that's the whole unfunded mandate thing, right? So I just think of an example of DoubleTree, right? When you go to DoubleTree, any DoubleTree, they give you cookies. Mm-hmm. Okay, you get those cookies. They mandate the DoubleTree person to do the cookies.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if they're going to mandate the cookies, why don't they pay for half the cookies?
Right?
Right.
Or get a deal with the cookie person that is extraordinary price.
It's going to be fair.
Right, but it's not. It's almost like they might be getting a little kickback from the cookie company, whereas we're paying the cookie company the full price.
Right. I mean,
to have them
Famous
there.
Amos might be kicking money back over there, and you're not right. Exactly. So I think that is where the transparency, really comes in, because consumer wise, as a consumer, you really are affected by this.
Yes.
It's not that you're not affected, because I'm telling you, I mean, even like hotel rates, I look at, I go to Florida annually, and, I have a couple places where I stay, but I do like to spend 2 or 3 weeks right at the water. I love doing that. And I go to Melbourne, and I love Melbourne because it's quiet and everything else. And there are 3 franchise hotels right next to each other in Melbourne.
Right.
There's a DoubleTree where we usually stay. Mm-hmm. There's a Radisson, and there's a regular Hilton.
Okay.
The 3 of them. We choose a DoubleTree every time because for 3 to 4 years that we've been going, it's been the same manager. Mm-hmm. It's a franchise, but it's been the same manager. It's been the same people that work the bar, the same people that work the pool area, right? We've gotten to know everyone,
Right.
and we're comfortable with that, with the non-term, because they do a really good job of representing the brand and everything else, and they don't rake us over the coals.
Right.
Okay. I assume that's because Florida has a lot of tourism, and the market's robust, and they don't, really. But I think it's fair to pay $230 a night there.
Right.
That's what we pay, and that's what I paid 3 years ago. That's what I paid 2 years ago, and that's what I paid last year.
Right.
Now, if that rate all of a sudden next year goes to $320, $330 a night for the same room, I'm going to be like, I'm not staying here. I'm going to make a decision that I'm not staying there. And I know and I'm having this conversation with you, but I know if that happens next year, it wasn't driven by the franchisee.
Right.
Because the franchisee wants me to stay there.
Right.
Okay. They want my repeat business.
Yes.
Okay. So I know it's not them. I know there's pressure elsewhere on the price.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a problem.
It is.
Because you can price yourself out of a market. We're seeing this all over the place. It's not just in hospitality. I'll give you an example of Saratoga Racecourse. Okay. Now you want to talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The people of the New York Racing Association have got to be the stupidest people on the planet. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay. Because
you were guaranteed during the Saratoga meet that for those 40 days, you were going to get at least 12 to 13,000 people a day coming in, spending X amount of dollars, and they were going to do it all the time.
Right.
Okay? But they could afford to park their cars for $10. They could afford to come in and pay $5 to get into the clubhouse, $5 regular admission, and $6 for a racing form and maybe a program. So they're out $35, $40 by the time they come and sit down. Okay. And you didn't have to pre-reserve picnic tables and pay $25 a person. And you didn't have to call and reserve a table inside and pay $50, or go to the 1863 room and pay $150 for a table. It's gotten ridiculous to where families, now here's where my point. You travel as a family.
Mm-hmm.
You would bring families to the racetrack, right?
Right.
Mom, dad, the kids would have a picnic. They'd be outside. They'd be introduced to the game, and they would be hooked.
Right.
The horses would hook them, and they'd be there. That's not happening anymore, because what's happening is the parents are making a decision. They're saying, we can't afford to bring the whole family to Saratoga. It's ridiculously expensive. Right now, I saw the board the other day, $23 for an Aperol Spritz.
Wow.
Now, I want you to think about that. A bottle of Aperol costs about $23. Okay? An Aperol Spritz, $23. A Heineken, $16. Okay?
Wow.
All right. Then they want to know. Then, right next to that post on Facebook is an article by the New York Racing Association saying, geez, our handle's down 15 to 16% this year.
I wonder why.
I wonder why your handle's down 15 to 60%. Because no money left to bet. All right. I mean, I honestly used to budget. I'd go to the track, used to budget $600, $150 for getting in, drinking, food, table,
Right.
and $450 to bet. Can't do that anymore.
No.
All right. Now it's $250 and $350. They want to know why the handle's down. There's your answer.
Right.
What's the percentage?
Less people.
Right. So you can price yourself out. And hotels need to be careful,
Yes.
especially franchise, because your bottom line as a franchisee is the number of people that stay there.
Right.
Right. So you're dependent on those people returning, on those guests returning.
Yes.
And if they make it impossible, they being the franchisers make it impossible, it's going to hit them in the ass on the backside.
Right.
It might take a few years to catch up. But what if all these franchisees started dropping out saying, no mas, man.
Right.
No mas. I can't re-sign that agreement. No mas. I'm dead in the water. I cannot charge $360 for a hotel room.
Right.
And you're making me, because you're passing on all these costs that I can't afford.
Right.
And you're making me do all this crap.
Right. So when is it brands need to understand this as well as franchisees need to understand this? There is a point you really have to negotiate hard with your franchisor when signing the contract, making sure they stick with it. Now, advocating for this, the Fair Franchising Bill, New Jersey they've presented it to the New Jersey Assembly, and Reform Lodging is the association or the group that has been pushing this bill in New Jersey Assembly to get it passed. It's the Fair Franchising Act. This will limit the franchisors from changing the FDD without any consequences or any repercussions from the franchisee. It needs to be there if a franchisor is going to mandate a change to their FDD when you're in your contract, halfway through your contract. It's an outrageous price. One, they have to be able to justify the increase in that cost. They have to be able to show you the revenue benefit from that additional cost that they want you to spend. Now, if they can't provide that additional revenue that you'll get from this cost, one, you should not be doing it if they can't provide you what type of revenue.
Absolutely. If they're doing it to increase traffic.
And if they do provide you with the revenue that you should be getting, okay, you sign it, you go into it, and
you audit it.
Right, a year, 2 years down the road, you're not getting those numbers that were promised to you in the FDD, why would you not be able to get yourself out of that contract without having to pay liquidated damages or reduce liquidated damages? You should be able to.
Well, I think part of your approach to the Fair Franchising Act should be Fair Franchising and Fair Consumer Act. See, because it gets passed on to the consumer, like you said.
Yes.
Right? Fair franchising is fairness for the consumer.
Yes. We could look at adding that into that. So Reform Lodging, maybe you guys can look into
Consumer
putting in
protection.
consumer protection as well as franchisee protection.
through franchisee, through protecting, by protecting the franchisee, we're protecting the consumer.
Yes. Now, with this as well, I want to get it out there. We can't just have one association fighting for this as hard. Reform Lodging is doing a great job in New Jersey trying to get this bill passed. I truly feel AAHOA, being a big brother of Reform Lodging, more members, a little bit more pull with the advocacy, should also be backing this play.
100%.
But they're not. Now,
Well, the question is why?
that is a question. That's a very good question. Members of AAHOA, why is our officers or the board of AAHOA not fighting the fair franchising bill? It is
Not
the
fighting
most-
for it.
Right, not fighting for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not fighting for the franchising bill. Fair franchising, please look at it. I'm going to post it on the website with this podcast. It will be there. Read the bill. See what it is going to change in the current process that's there. It is everything to help us, the franchisee, the owners of the hotel, of these brands. We should all be backing this bill. Take a look, read it. I know Reform Lodging could use all the help they can get. Best way to help them is cutting a small check, whatever amount you can do to help contribute to their advocacy.
There's no downside. There's no downside to you. You have no downside risk because ultimately protecting your franchise is protecting your brand.
Yes.
And it's not that you don't want to be affiliated. And it's not that you can afford not to be affiliated.
Right.
It's that you have to be affiliated in the right way.
Yes.
And that affiliation goes two ways. And just like the rest of society, the 1,000-pound elephant in the room is exercising its weight on the rest of the populace. And that's happening everywhere. How many big box stores are out there that have put mom and pop stores out of business?
Right.
And then what's Amazon done? And what have they done? They've moved in and they've pushed other people out. Well, at the end of the day, if the consumer only has a certain number of Hiltons and a certain number of Marriotts to go to and everybody else is out of the business, you got problems. Because then they can charge whatever the hell they want at the corporate level.
Right.
Right? Because all your franchisees are gone. And they're just going to keep raising their price.
Yes.
So this is fairness for consumers.
Yes.
And it encourages competition.
Yes.
And it makes you be better. As a franchisee, it makes you be better.
Right. Now, I will say, listen, I do like brands, and we do need brands. Marriott, Hilton's, IHG's, Choice, Wyndham, we need all those brands because we do need diversity.
Standards.
And standards, yes. And it is fine. I have no problem with it. It is good to have brands as well. But you need to have that partnership with the brand and you be more equal than it is.
It's out of balance.
Right. That's what we are fighting for. That's what Reform Lodging is fighting for. That is what some of the things that AAHOA fights for. But we all need to be more on the same page. We need to truly ask the question, what are our associations doing for us as members? We need to ask that hard question and point it out, stick to it, follow through.
What are we getting for our membership dollars?
100%.
That's at the end of the day. That's like if I'm a teacher in a teachers union, and I'm compelled because it's a closed shop that I have to, even though I don't agree with the union, maybe they're going to take my union dues. Right. So my question is, what am I getting for it?
Yes. Real quick before we go to a different topic, I just want to finalize with advocacy again. Very important to our industry. Reform Lodging. You can check them out at reformlodging.org. Okay, they are fighting the cause for fair franchising bill in New Jersey right now. It is very close to getting through. They need help.
Put them over the top.
Yes, cut them the check. Put them over the top. AAHOA is also doing advocacy, and they also do advocacy. Next month in September, we're having advocacy. We're going to do our next episode live at the Capitol with AAHOA's advocacy, September 16th and 17th. That is also good. They are also there. Now, the thing is, though, they also need to be reciprocating the same voice to the politicians there about fair franchising as well, to get that one message across and heard by more and more politicians.
Just all about messaging.
Yes.
But there has to be a leadership in the messaging. So this forum, okay, if you guys want to send in comments regarding how we should go about it and what the message should be, you'd be happy to amalgamate that information and put it together. And we'd be happy to suggest, I mean, I own a policy company. We would be happy to suggest a bulleted list of talking points that you can use to advocate for yourselves when you're in DC.
That's excellent idea. So people listening right now, if you have ideas, if you have questions, if you have concerns, send them in, send them through. Myself and Jerry will prepare talking points for us at AAHOA's capital meeting next month and see how that goes. Please send them in. Now, going from that a little bit, I wanted to do the structure of AAHOA and talk about that a little bit and how it's run right now. So there's 33 board members. Each region is divided, and each region has a regional director that is elected by the members of that region. So it is a democratic process. We do have voting and everything like that. Now, the one thing that we don't have that I think AAHOA needs to have, AAHOA is a business association for hotel owners, right? So it's a business.
Yep.
Any business, my hotel particularly, at my hotel when I go there, I talk to the GM, housekeeper, front desk, and they're discussing issues and whatnot. When our employees walk through our door and are in our establishment for our business, I let them know, okay, guys, when you're here, it's business. Personal stuff, leave it home.
Just
we don't
like every
need
other
that
business.
in our business.
Yeah.
AAHOA is not adhering to that particular concept with its association. It's a business association. Leave the personal societies and social stuff outside the association. It should not be involved in the association. There is two groups, LPS and CLPS. If you go on their websites, I had my son, he's 18 years old, and was born in America, first generation American in my family. I asked him, he's like, do you know what LPS is? And he said, no. I asked him, do you know what CLPS is? He said, no. Okay. I asked him to Google search both of them. Go to their websites. He did. I asked him, what is the mission statement of both the associations? He read them off to me. You know what the difference was between the two associations' mission statements?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Same.
It was the same. But they're two different associations and they're social groups, really. Mm-hmm. Two different social groups. But they have such a pull in AAHOA. It's incredible. And I don't understand that. And I don't understand why AAHOA and its members, our members, myself included, are letting social groups dictate our business association. Should not be.
I have a thought as to why it's happening.
My thing to resolve that, when we're having our elections, when we're having candidates step up to represent our association, there needs to be qualifications put into place before you can run. You need to have minimum experience, minimum expertise in the areas that you're running for.
Minimum qualifications.
Yes. The qualification right now, there is none besides you have to be a member for so long. And then you get voted by your peers. that doesn't seem like a very big qualification. That seems like a popularity contest to
And
me.
I think what you're describing is a scenario where you have a very homogeneous body of people that have a lot of intersecting lines.
Yes.
And what will happen is they will group, and as they group, they will put forth someone who represents their point of view, or at least wants their point of view represented.
Right.
So they'll put a person forward for that reason, and it might not be because it's the best person for the job.
Right.
It's the person that represents their clan. I'll
Right.
say clan.
Yes.
Okay. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it's clan-like behavior. When you have a homogeneous group, that's what happens. If I brought a bunch of Italians together and we had the same thing, Italian American advocacy, the Calabrese would be with the Calabrese, the Abruzzese would be the Abruzzese, Sicilians would be with the Sicilians. It's the way it goes.
Right.
So I would imagine you have a similar scenario.
Yes, they do. Best way to treat that is make it fully a business association, which it is, okay? Which it is. AAHOA is a business association, should be run like a business association and not a social group. We need to make that change, people. And the best way to do it...
It's a cultural change.
Yes. The members need to make that change. Myself, all our members that are members of AAHOA need to make that change. We need to be electing qualified candidates, not people that we like or people that see our views that are not qualified. The only way we progress is this way, and that's how AAHOA can take it to the next step. If they continue down this road, I truly feel AAHOA is going to be no more, and it is sad to me to see that it is happening right now where it is depleting. Less and less people are getting involved. I see myself getting less and less involved just because I don't see anything happening truly progressing with AAHOA and getting things done. They do things like organize events where they have that's great, but we actually need policies change. We need people representing us to fight for fair franchising with the brands. We need people to advocate for us with the politicians.
Well, I would say that the way that a lot of nonprofits have handled that is that they've turned that over to professionals.
Right.
What they've done is they've sat around and they said, we're going to have to pay somebody to do this, right? And instead of having nominees from the body of the membership, it could be that, okay, it's a separate entity now. We're going to fund 2 or 3 advocacy positions.
Right.
And those advocacy positions are going to be recruited by the board.
Right. Now, the great thing about AAHOA is, and our Indian Americans is, we have people that are experts in a broad variety of
Understand?
things. We do have politicians that are Indians, okay? We do have businessmen and businesswomen that are Indians that are very capable of doing this thing in our association and our group as well. Those are the people that we need in office.
And some of those people would be great to retain.
Yes.
And pay them to do it. See, this is what I'm getting at. We at Boys and Girls Clubs of America really increased our advocacy when we hired a government relations team. Mm-hmm. And the government relations team represented all the clubs.
Right.
But they were paid to advocate for the agenda that they were given.
Right.
And they were able to be held accountable.
Right.
How many meetings did you have? Who did you meet with? It's hard to hold volunteers accountable. It's a darn hard thing. But if you're paying somebody and you're paying them well, that's where you get accountability.
And that is probably what is happening right now with AAHOA, because all our board members are voluntary positions. Okay. Now, when you're volunteering a position, it does take time. I actually ran for a seat. I was running for regional director last election. I did have time to volunteer. I like helping people, and that's why I've started this podcast. I'm volunteering my time, your time, to get this information out there for our industry, to help our industry. Now, when they're volunteering and doing this, there's a lot of people that I've heard and a lot of things, hey, they're getting kickbacks. They're getting something from the brands for having them here. You know what? They might be, but they're doing it also for the other membership group. Now, if they're getting something on the side for themselves, but they're not passing that through to the membership, they're keeping that local and then just having that brand be there, that's counterproductive. And that is what is happening. I see that happening right now.
Well,
and that's
because
not how it's supposed
naturally
to
you're
happen.
putting people in a position where they're going to be taking advantage of access.
Right.
Right. So they have access and they can really cut their own deals. Right.
Yes.
But if you're paying them to cut your deal, then if they cut their own deal, they're going to jail.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, here it is. I think it is something, I don't know what the dues and the fee structure are or whatever else. But what I do know is that it has to be a not-for-profit entity, not a 501c3, but I think a 501c4. But whatever it is, it has the ability to hire professionals.
Yes, and they do. AAHOA does have hired professionals that work for a team. They're in their corporate office in Atlanta right now. Okay, we also have a president of AAHOA that is on salary, gets paid. Yeah. All the staff members of AAHOA do get paid. What we need is more staff members, not more board of directors. Okay, that's what we need. We need more staff members on AAHOA, paid staff members doing things for our members and our membership, and less board members to give them ideas.
Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a quarterly campaign? Do you have, I could list 15 to 20 things that an advocacy office should be doing on the regular.
Right.
Okay. And I can almost guarantee, and I don't know what goes on at AAHOA, but I know what goes on at other nonprofits. And I can almost guarantee you that these things aren't happening because nobody's demanding them.
Right.
Okay. The first thing I need a quarterly newsletter. And in that quarterly newsletter, I want to know who you've met with and what your message has been and what their answer was.
Right.
Okay. That can get emailed to us quarterly, constant contact. We'll give it to you. Make sure you do that every month.
Yes.
That's one. Send out at least 2 or 3 letters per month that are going to advocate for a position. What is the response been? Did the letter get to where it was supposed to get? Oh, we don't know. Did you follow up with a phone call?
Right.
Okay. It is very, very easy to say we're paying the office and to assume that the office is doing what you asked them to do.
Right.
But let me tell you something. Water finds its level. Okay?
Yes. Yes, it does.
All right? It does. And I don't care what clan or segment of AAHOA the people come from. Mm-hmm. The true accountability is in that personnel audit, that development plan that people get incentivized for.
Right.
And they get reprimanded for and whatever else. It has to be treated like a corporate job. If it's not treated like a job, then you're not going to get results.
I agree. You
need professionals.
You do need professionals. And there are plenty of professionals out there. We have them. We have
training.
Very bright, educated people in our community. We need to make sure we give them the opportunity to represent us.
And the
not
training.
And not just sit on the sidelines because we're backing someone that is more popular, that has a face, that is that's more of our culture, more of our society. Those aren't the people they're not needed. They bog down things. They restrict things from happening and progress happening. We need professionals. We have a lot of professionals in our association. We need them to run. We need them getting elected so they can take our association to the next level. As I was saying before too, Reform Lodging is out there. Their biggest thing is advocating on behalf of our industry. That's all majority of what they do is advocacy. It's very big. AAHOA does advocacy as well, but Reform Lodging is fighting some of the things that are dear to our
It
cause.
seems like they should be walking in lockstep.
They should. They honestly should. And they were at one point. They were together at one point, and then AAHOA kind of backed away because of its... They probably got pressured with the brands. The Marriotts and Hiltons probably said, hey, we're not going to come to your trade show.
Well,
Now the association and its members are saying, hey, why isn't Marriott and Hilton here? Well, they didn't want to be here because they don't want to sign the fair franchising agreement. So that's why they're not. Oh, but what's, we can make our own deals. That's good. Hold off. But they couldn't hold off. They couldn't resist.
that's why you have
and
to make
hold
it
off.
law.
I agree.
Make it
That is
law.
why you make it law. And Reform Lodging is fighting that fight to make it law.
And it's not just for hotel franchising. It's for fair franchising in every business.
Across the board.
Okay? So Subway, so at Jimmy John's, whatever. Coming in and having transparency in their dealings, which they're forcing you to deal in, given the franchise agreement.
Right.
It's that compulsion that you can't get away from, because in order to keep the brand, you have to give them what they want.
Right.
A little extortion going on. What can I tell you?
So we're going to wrap this up. We had a great conversation today. I think we did very good with what we discussed. Our next episode, like I said, is going to be live from the Capitol at AAHOA's Lobby Day. Please join us. I know it will be a great, exciting time there. We're going to see some politicians. Hopefully we can have some of them on our podcast, ask them the questions as well. We will also be posting the bill, the Fair Franchising Bill, the New Jersey bill, on our platform. So please look at that as well. And you can see exactly what we're looking at changing and making change. Help us fight the fight. If you can, please donate to Reform Lodging. All right, you can check them out at reformlodging.org, or you can go on AAHOA.com as well. And AAHOA has a PAC fund as well. Donate to the PAC fund for advocacy. Very big, very crucial. Do you have any closing points, Jared?
I think the PAC is a great way to establish a channel to politicians that will make them understand that fair franchising is fair competition, it's fair entrepreneurship, it's fair for the consumer, and it will encourage people to come into the industry versus discouraging people from staying.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will see you all on our next episode. Have a great day.